Hi everybody, welcome. I'm testing out some new equipment today. I have a new microphone, and so I'm hoping that you guys can hear me. I'm going to really quickly check my page. Let me see if I can actually hear it. I'm good to go. Okay, so I'm going to send this over to my VIP page. If you are not a designer and you would love to be on the VIP page, please comment VIP below and I will get you guys over there. I'm so excited to have a mic now that I can actually pick up a little bit more. Now, if you hear other things, as in cars going by and airplanes flying over, I am so sorry, but we will adjust accordingly. Okay, so today we are going to do another awesome budget-friendly Club Couture design, a t-shirt. Yes, we can do amazing things with our chalk transfers. We can use them for paste, which you see behind me right there, and we can use ink, which is right here. So paste and ink can be used on the same transfer. You do not have to buy multiple transfers. However, you still only get 8 to 12 uses out of it. So if you are using this transfer 8 to 12 times in between paste and ink, you still will have that. It won't be 8 to 12 times with ink and 8 to 12 times with paste. The difference between ink and paste is ink is semi-permanent, paste is washable. So you obviously don't want to put paste on a t-shirt. If you're going to wash it, it's going to come right out. It might stain it, but it's going to come out. And we don't use a fuzzing cloth with ink, so there is a savings for you there. We do use an ink mat, and currently I have one inside right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me move this down so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. See this right here? That is our ink mat. It's extremely sticky. Today is my husband's birthday, so we are going to make him a shirt that says it's not a dad bod, it's a father figure. So we're going to do that today on a black shirt. I did put the ink mat in. What I'm going to do is let this shirt sit for 24 to 48 hours, let it dry, and then we are going to heat set it. Now, when you heat set it, it does tell you on the back of your transfer how to do that if you're using an iron. If you're using a Cricut Easy Press, it's a lot easier. It is 320 for 15 seconds on one side, 15 seconds on the other side. Sometimes it can even be 30 seconds on one side, 30 seconds on the other, depending on the material. You always want to make sure you take your ink mat out when you are heat setting, because you will fry the ink mat. And you always want to lay a piece of parchment paper down to protect your design. Now, when you are using a transfer that is one of our new ones, it does have a slug mark on it right here. Our slug marks currently are silk screen, so you want to put a piece of tape over top of that. And when you do ink, you do want to go a little heavy with it, because it will fade a little bit if you don't go too heavy. But what's great about this is it's not vinyl. You don't have to weed, you don't have to do any of that kind of stuff, and it's not going to crack. So you can do multiple washes. I always wash mine inside out just because that's what I do with all my vinyl shirts. So I just kind of do the same with my Club Couture shirts. Lots of fun. Kids love doing this. You can do this on any material. You can do it on quilt squares even and make a big quilt. You can do so many things. So let's get started. So we are going to move the ink over to the side. Now, our ink, you can work a lot slower. So if you are new to chalk, I don't suggest that you start off with an ink project, but that being said, it is a lot easier to do than paste, so maybe a small ink project would be great for you. Maybe like a patch to sew it onto a towel or anything like that. But we do not fuzz. We just want to make sure that the t-shirt is clean. Usually I do roll this, but I did not do that today. And it's sticky, so the shirt is going to lay flat. You can see right here it's kind of bunched up a little bit, and you can hear it when you kind of pull it. You just straighten it out. Our ink mats come in two different sizes. One is an 18 by 18 and one is an 11 by 24, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that one. And you can cut them apart and use them for different pieces. Maybe cut them apart and have them as a B size, or cut them apart and have them as an A size, or however you want to do it. So let's get started. Again, all your care instructions are on the back, and always, if you have questions, you can always reach out to me. But these shirts, I mean, you can get these really cheap at any craft store, or even order online or grab them from a local store. And, you know, if you have an extra shirt, feel free to use it. I do not wash these before I ink them. I used to wash them before I did vinyl, but I do not wash them before I ink them because, one, I want them to be the way that they come from the store. And two, I try not to get like the pre-washed ones either, or pre-shrunk, because a lot of times they have like a chemical on them. Now, if they are pre-shrunk, then I would wash them first, but don't use any fabric softener. There is that little tip for you. So really quickly, we're going to write on the back of this. I always write on the back of my transfers on the backer sheet, and I always do a dash mark because I want to make sure I'm getting my 8 to 12 uses. Now, my hubby has a beard, so we're going to go down a little bit further just so you can actually read the design. Now, the silk screen transfer part right here on our slug mark, I'm actually going to put a piece of placement tape there. If you don't have our placement tape, it's super awesome, but you can use washi tape if you have some on hand. However, do not use painter's tape. Painter's tape will tear that silk screen and your transfer will be ruined, and we don't want that to happen. Sometimes even it'll mess up the outside of that design. So I'm looking at this just to make sure it is straight, because obviously we don't want it crooked. That would be awful. Now, usually I have my, I bought these things off Amazon that show you where to put the material, but I couldn't find them today, and I wasn't going to dig around my chalk room. My chalk room's a little bit of a mess right now because I haven't been home for a little while, and I don't even remember where I put them, so I need to find those for sure. So we're going to do red, orange, yellow, and green. And I always mix my ink. Now, we do have ink singles, just an FYI for you. Another way to save, make it more budget friendly for you. Our ink singles, now you always want to go in one direction, either up and down or side to side. You don't want to go multiple like you do with paste. Just an FYI. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over this once, let it sit, then I'm going to go over all of this once again, because, and here's my reasoning, is because I want it to be dark and I want it to stand out. Let it kind of absorb into that material. Our ink mats can be cleaned really easy. You just use a Clorox wipe or a Lysol wipe. You can use a board eraser. I just don't, because I don't like them possibly sticking on the ink mat, because the ink mat is sticky. We don't want that to happen. Now, when you're using ink, you always want to just start just off that silk screen and pull the ink. The easiest way to do it is pull the ink towards you. That is the easiest way. And I like going over these a couple times. And you can do that with ink, which is great, because with paste, you can do the same. You can go over it a couple times. But the paste will dry a lot faster, where this is semi-permanent, so it's only going to dry 100% after it sits for some time. So keep that in mind. I think, honestly, we should have grabbed a small squeegee to do this. Just get a little bit more ink onto the transfer, but that's okay. We'll work with what I already pulled out. Now, if you are a club member, you do get a flat rate shipping. If you are a designer, you get 40% off retail, and you can make commissions and all of that stuff. So if you guys want to know any more information about that, I will post a link on the live after I've posted it, after I've gone live, I should say. And there will be those links that you can go and check things out. It doesn't hurt to just look. You don't have to commit to anything. Just kind of gives you a general idea. And I can see where this is going to have to definitely go over a couple times, because it's just not dark enough for my liking. Now, obviously you use different colors, the different it's going to look, right? Some colors obviously are darker than others. Now it also depends on the shirt you're doing. If you're going to do this on a white shirt, I personally don't like white shirts. They stain up way too easy. But if you don't mind them, then, you know, obviously the colors, the brighter colors will stand out just a little bit more on a brighter shirt, or a light color shirt. Okay. And then we're going to go over this again just to make it darker. And we have so many ink colors. Now, we don't have all of our ink colors available in singles. That is because we are trying our ink singles to see if they are popular enough for Chalk to invest. I will tell you right now, we've been asking, as designers have been asking for these ink singles since I started. And that was almost 3 years ago. So they do listen. They just want to make sure the investment is worth it. Now our green looks pretty good, but I still will probably go over it again. And again, you want to make sure that your ink is in the right consistency. You want to make sure it's like sour cream or yogurt. It's a little bit thinner than our paste, and that's what it's supposed to be like. So if you've ever used our paste and you're like, it's really thin, you don't want it too thin, but you do want it thinner than that. Okay. Alright, let's go back over top of this one more time. You just want to make sure that it's bright enough. And I feel like it is. I feel like it definitely is. Now you always want to put your ink back into the jar, because every little bit of this makes a huge difference. Making shirts is so much fun. I love doing this. This is actually one of my favorite things to do with chalk. And I've done towels and a bunch of little things like that. I've done garden flags. It's another thing you can do. So if you're really big into using the inks, you can always create your own bundles with inks. You can do so many things with our inks. But again, this transfer can be used with paste as well. So don't feel like you have to buy multiple unless you're going to make more than what Chalk recommends. And if that is the case, then I suggest you buy at least 2, if not more, depending on how many you do. So this would make a great Father's Day gift. Even the kiddos can get involved in it. Our ink is non-toxic, just like our paste, so it's easily cleaned up. You can totally clean it up really easy. You just want to make sure that the little kiddos have something like an apron on, just to protect their clothing. It's always a good idea. The pull and reveal is obviously the best part of doing a chalk design. It is the best ever. It's still one of my favorite things. Still is. I'm always excited to see what it was that I created. Alright. And sometimes I go really thick over top and then I just pull it through just to make it enough that I know it's covered. I feel like my green might be almost on its way out, but I always have extra. Again, you could get all of these in ink singles. We do have pretty much all of the primary colors and white and black. We have a lot more in the jars. The jars are going to last a lot longer. So just keep that in mind as well. Alright. Now we are going to do the pull and reveal, which is the best part. But I want to make sure, one, my fingers are not covered in ink, and I'm going to close up these ink jars. Put our little squeegees off to the side because I'm going to wash those. And you obviously don't have to have multiple squeegees either. You can do one squeegee and clean it. Another budget-friendly tip. I like to have multiple because to me it makes more sense than having to clean each individual one at a time as I'm going live. But that's the only difference. Now, when you go to pull and reveal, okay, if you feel like your color is not as dark as you want, you can totally lay this transfer back down and push that a little bit darker if that's what you want to do. I think it looks perfect. It looks great. So we're going to let this sit for 24 to 48 hours. We're going to let it dry. And then you can speed up the process a little bit by keeping it in a warmer room. You want to make sure you heat set this way before you wash this, okay? Because you don't want to wash it and forget to heat set it. I've done that and had my design get washed out because I just have so many things going on all at once. So I'm going to let this sit for 24 to 48 hours over on my table where it's going to just dry. And then I'm going to take parchment paper, lay it down. Obviously, I'm going to pull the ink mat out of it, lay the parchment paper down, heat set, flip it inside out, heat set again. And I might even do that live, or I might do a reel so you guys can see how to do that. And you guys have a fabulous day. I am off to go get some self-care stuff done. And we will see you guys tomorrow early for another Club Couture project. I have to go early because I have to leave town to take my son to go get his eyes examined. So, all right, guys, have a fabulous day. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And I will talk to y'all soon. All right, guys.